Hello, Bobby Jarzombek here. For the second part of my On the Road series, out this time with Sebastian Bach, I thought I'd talk about the equipment that I'm using, and I'll start with the pedals. I am using the 9000 DW 9000 series double pedal. Love this pedal, but as you probably noticed right now as you're looking at the pedal, is that I have a longer footboard here. This is something that I did myself, as you can probably see. And I took a sheet of metal or aluminum, I can't even remember what it was, and I cut out this little design here using a reciprocating saw. And I did this because I have a pretty large foot. I wear a size 13 shoe, and I was working on the heel-toe technique a couple of years ago. And like I said, I did this a couple of years ago. I can't even remember what type of material I used to do this. But to make this happen, I actually took the heel plate, if you can see that. I took the heel plate back here, and I flipped it around and turned it over. So instead of the hinge being in the front here, it is on the back upper part. It's where the hinge sits. I drilled a couple of holes here and a hole up here for the chain. Made that happen. So I'm really digging it. Even though I'm not working on the heel toe too much more these days, I still really like the way the footboard feels on my bare feet. So I've still been using that, and it works for me. And onto the drums. I am using the DW PDP Pacific drums, the Platinum series. Just got this kit about a month ago. It's a beautiful kit, as you can see from the wood grain that shows through. Very nice. 8-ply maple with a black fade to natural back to black. And my sizes are 10, 12, 14, 16 floor, 22-inch kicks. And then I'm using a DW snare, a brass. I've had this snare for a while. Played this snare on many recordings, and as you can see, toured with it quite a bit. It's got some tarnish on it, a little rust. That never hurt anybody. Drum sounds totally awesome. And so I'm really digging my new Platinum PDP kit. And of course I'm using Heisty cymbals, have been for years. Sound great, really cut through. And I have an assortment of Heistys. Always kind of mix it up a little bit and use different stuff. I kind of like it that way. Mostly for reflectors. 17 back here, 19 back here, reflector. And I've got an 18 over here as my crash ride on my left. And I got a 2002 Wild Crash as a crash ride on my right. Kind of mixes it up a little bit if I'm playing with my right hand on the ride for a crash ride, or if I'm playing with my left over here, left side. I have an 18 heavy full crash, and then a signature power crash up here. 2 China's signature 18s. Got a 21 dry bell ride, very nice bell, very cool. Signature hats, 14, Heisty stuff. It's great, awesome. And for drum heads, of course, I'm using Evans drum heads. Have been using them for years. Great, a lot of tone, everything I need out of a drum head. And on the snare, I'm using this brand new, it's brand new for me. It's the Evans Gray Hybrid, which is very nice. I found that it's not too bright. It's got very good tone to it. I can pitch it down a little bit, and it's got a lot of body to it, and I'm very happy with this. Just started using it, so I'm digging this new Hybrid Gray. And on the toms, of course, I'm using the EC2s, have been for years. EC2s are very nice. Very durable under the live playing, and I've been doing quite a bit of work with these also in the studio. And on the bass drums, of course, I'm using the EMAD, but I'm using the EMAD 2 this time out, double ply. Very nice, a lot of punch. I find that the double ply adds a little extra punch to the head using the EMAD 2. And on the bottoms of the toms, I'm using, if you can't see it from here, I'm using the resonant black, which are really cool. They look really great in the underneath for people looking up at the heads from the audience view. The resonant blacks are awesome. And then on the bottom, of course, of the snare, I'm using the Hazy 300, which is the all-purpose killer drum head for the bottom of the snare. And that about covers it for the drum heads. And of course, the Vic Firth sticks. Vic Firth, awesome. Perfectly matched. Great. I'm using the American Classic Metal, which is a very cool stick for me. It's slightly longer than a 2B, about the same width. Gives me a little bit of extra on top, and if you can see the taper on the stick at the shoulder here, it's pretty wide, so it really gives me impact when I'm coming down. So Vic Firth, awesome sticks. Bobby Jarzombek here again, and as you can see, I'm sitting here in the dark. The show's getting ready to start in a few minutes. But for this last part of talking about my equipment, I thought I'd talk about the fact that I'm using a double pedal, but that I have 2 bass drums on my setup. I always preferred having 2 single pedals and using 2 separate bass drums, but over the last couple of years, I've really gotten used to using the double pedal setup more and more. And I guess there's a few reasons that I'm doing the double pedal thing and still using 2 bass drums. When I use 2 separate bass drums, if we played a festival or some type of gig where we only have a few minutes and we don't get a sound check, on those shows it became very difficult for the sound man, the monitor engineer, and all of us to get the bass drums the same volume, equal tone in the mix, if you just don't have enough time to really work on it. So what happens to me is I'll get one bass drum louder than the other bass drum in my monitor, and that'll just drive me nuts, the whole performance. So the double pedal on one bass drum works so much better, especially for those type of gigs. You might also notice that there's no drum head here on the left bass drum. I'm actually using the left bass drum as a floor tom case. My tech simply slides the floor tom right in here using these white guide markers, and then the kick drum slides into the kick drum case. So it saves on packing space in the truck, and that's always a good thing. Another thing is when I was using a double pedal setup, but if I had my kick facing straight out and my body was angled to the left, I started to feel really weird about that because I was so used to playing double bass and setting up where I'm looking straight into the crowd. So then, if I'm playing a double pedal and I just have the right bass drum facing out towards the right and there's no bass drum on the left, I thought the setup kind of looked a little goofy with that hole there where the bass drum would be. So I started to add the bass drum on the left and use that kind of as an anchor for my pedal, my hi-hat, and those sort of things. Plus, the other thing is with Sebastian, we have 2 different logo heads on each bass drum. So this kind of makes it nice having the right bass drum with one logo and the left bass drum with another logo. It's a cool setup, looks good to me, and hope that you enjoyed this part 2, me talking about my equipment, and I hope that you guys will be back for part 3 of Bobby Jarzombek on the road.